10 more Democratic candidates met tonight in Miami for their first debate of the year. 10 candidates met yesterday, and that seems sort of like an appetizer. Tonight really seemed like the entree. You had the two frontrunners on stage, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, who had sort of targets on their backs coming into tonight. You had Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg, who are two candidates who have had momentum, but have also had some stumbles since they announced their candidacies. Here are the highlights from last night's presidential debate on NBC. Kamala Harris, I think everyone agrees that she is the clear winner. She had a number of moments. One of the most notable was that she really went after Joe Biden for some of his comments he's made about some segregationist senators, when he was talking about civility and sort of talking nostalgically about how people used to get along in Washington, even if they didn't agree. And then she also brought up his opposition to busing legislation.
There was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
It was, I think, a pivotal moment in the debate. The vice president defended himself, saying that he does not support racists, obviously. He was talking about his long record of supporting civil rights legislation and working for the president. I did think his explanation for the busing legislation was interesting, because he basically said he didn't think it was the job of the federal government. He thought it was something that local governments should handle. And I just thought that was interesting, because it's sort of like a states' rights argument, which is we used to hear people who were opposed to integration make back in the day. In addition to Kamala Harris's exchange with Joe Biden, she had a couple of other breakout moments. There was one point when everybody on the stage was squabbling.
Hey guys, you know what? America does not want to witness a food fight. They want to know how we're going to put food on their table. Yes?
She just had a number of responses throughout the night that I think really struck well, landed well with the crowd, and I think we're going to be hearing a lot about her. And her candidate was, when she first joined the race, she really had a lot of buzz, but then her candidacy sort of sputtered. So I think that this is like some newfound momentum going forward for the summer. The true frontrunners, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, they both, Joe Biden in particular, took some arrows in addition to the one we talked about from Kamala. Eric Swalwell, interestingly enough, launched this generational argument against him.
Joe Biden was right when he said it was time to pass the torch to a new generation of Americans 32 years ago. He's still right today. If we're going to solve the issues of automation, pass the torch.
Biden took that in stride, and he obviously knows that as the frontrunner, he has a target on his back. He did get a little bit more pressured during the exchange with Kamala Harris. Bernie Sanders was pretty much the same Bernie Sanders we've seen since the 2016 campaign. Talking about the evils of pharma and corporations and the 1%, and how basically the government needs to be totally, and our economy needs to be totally reworked to help the middle class and to help the working class. He did make one statement that I suspect we'll see again from Republicans, which is that he said, he was pressed on this twice by moderator Savannah Guthrie. He was asked whether his plan, his healthcare plan, would raise taxes on the middle class. And first he didn't really answer, and then the second time he said it would raise taxes on the middle class. However, they would see a reduction in their healthcare costs. Anytime anybody says they're raising taxes on you, that can cause some problems. The other candidate that had that a lot of people were looking at going into this race was Mayor Pete Buttigieg of South Bend, Indiana. And he's had some problems recently because there was a shooting in his city of an African-American man by a white police officer, and the racial tensions have been pretty bad. He went off the campaign trail actually last weekend to go have a town hall and to talk to people, and people in the city the police are not happy with him. A lot of the African-American residents are not happy with him. And he was asked about that, and his response, he didn't try to shift the blame. I mean, he sort of took responsibility, like that, we have problems in the city, and he was asked specifically about why the police force is so white when you have a significant African-American population, and he was pretty much like, because I haven't been able to fix it. So I think that people who are looking for somebody taking responsibility for problems in their city, I think they would see that there. Other than that, I don't know that he really had any sort of breakout moments. And I think he was one of the people that probably needed one, because when he entered the race a couple months ago, there was a lot of energy around his candidacy. I mean, a veteran who's married to a man who, he's been elected in a red state. I mean, I think that a lot of people there's a lot of different things that people liked about him. But recently, it doesn't seem like that energy persists, and I don't know if he really has any extra energy coming out of tonight. And then there were several other candidates on the stage, most of whom made absolutely no impression at all. One exception was Kirsten Gillibrand, senator from New York. She was pretty aggressive in getting her voice heard. I mean, people were interrupting her, she was interrupting people, but she really made a point of aggressively sort of inserting her voice and being able to talk. And so I think she might get a couple of extra looks from people who are unfamiliar with her work. That's the end of the first set of Democratic presidential primary debates in this month. We'll see them again in a couple weeks in Detroit for the next pair, hosted by CNN. Will there be 20 candidates on the stage still? Who knows, but we shall find out soon.